So one of my questions has always been, what does it mean to be a man after God's own heart? I mean, my name is David, but after all, and Acts 13:22 says, that's God called David a man after his own heart, a man who would seek after God's will. And really, we see so much happening in the book of 1 Samuel with David wandering through the wilderness, trying to get away from Saul, trying to get away from all the people that are trying to kill him. It doesn't seem to stop. But anyway, we get into the period where he's now in the tabernacle. He goes to the presence of God. He goes to be where you would think he would, bend down and prostrate, humble himself before the Lord, but he ends up lying. He goes to Abimelech and pretends that he's on a mission from the king, which of course, the king's business would be to kill David, so clearly he wasn't on the mission for the king. But Abimelech didn't know anything about that at the time. You end up having Doeg, the Edomite there, who's a spy for Saul, and he sees him, and that's going to end very badly soon enough. But David is given the bread of the presence. Now, it doesn't say he can't eat the bread, the holy bread. The Old Testament, the law doesn't say specifically only priests can eat it. So David is allowed to have it for this special circumstance. And Jesus even uses this moment as an example later on when he's talking to the Pharisees about what David did. It's really, we need to put God, above all things. Clearly, we can't add to the word, but the word didn't say David couldn't eat it. We can't put man's traditions above God's word, though. That's what's important. We need to understand God is all about taking care of his people. He loves us massively, and he loved David. At this point, David's just running, and he gets the sword of Goliath, and for some reason, David decides to take that sword that he killed Goliath with into Gath, into the hometown of the giant that he slew. I don't exactly know what was going on with David at this point, but there's clearly some insanity. He fakes insanity in front of the king in order to get away from it, but it's almost like I think you really are kind of going mad at this point. But David, is able to be used by God at that point because he's allowing himself to be humble. That's where we get into the will of God. That's where we can seek him. And I want to read Psalm 34 real quick because it is all about this entire story. He feigned madness before Abimelech, before Gath. Anyway, Psalm 34. I will bless the Lord at all times. Listen, his praise shall be continually in my mouth. My soul will make its boast in the Lord. The humble will hear it and rejoice. Oh, magnify the Lord with me and let us exalt his name together. Now, David's in the heart of the enemy here in the Philistine camp. He could be killed instantly, but God is going to provide. I sought the Lord and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. They looked to him and were radiant. Their faces will never be ashamed. This poor man cried and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all of his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and rescues them. And the angel of the Lord is throughout the Old Testament referring to Messiah, referring to Jesus. It's an Old Testament appearance. So it's interesting that David refers to that. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. How blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Oh, fear the Lord, you his saints, for those who fear him have no want. It's interesting that he says, taste to see the Lord is good after having the holy bread in the tabernacle. And again, the bread is often throughout the Old Testament used and in the New Testament as God's word, taking it daily as we need it. Verse 10, the young lions do not lack and suffer hunger, but they seek the Lord and shall want of nothing. Come, children, listen, and I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Who is the man who desires life and loves the length of days that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. So you can tell he's sort of repenting. He's realizing what he had done and he needs to seek the Lord. The eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous and his ears are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against evildoers to cut off their memory from the earth. The righteous cry and the Lord hears and delivers them out of their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saved those crushed in spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of all of them. He keeps all of his bones, not one of them is broken. That may also be a reference to Jesus as well, having none of his bones broken on the cross, but enough of that. Evil shall slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be condemned. The Lord redeems the soul of his servants, and none of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. None of us, when we take refuge in the Lord, will be condemned. And I know it went a little bit long, but I just couldn't not read that psalm. Take it and understand what the Lord is seeking for you, to be a man and woman after his heart, seeking after his will, humbling yourself before him in all times. Thank you for listening. Please share this video. I hope that you have a great day, and God bless. Continue studying.